welcome to Tilly Talks, the first one we hope maybe in a series. My name's Julia Robertson. I'm the founder of Garland, and Tilly is my 8-week-old Labrador puppy that has been with me now for less than a week, and it feels like a very lovely lifetime, I have to say. Oh, here's a Tilly, and here she is. This is the one that's talking. So without further ado, because this is only going on for 15 minutes, I'd like to introduce you to Kushla Lehman, who's a friend and colleague. And over to you, Kushla, to introduce yourself.
Hi. Morning, everybody. Lovely to see everybody. As Julia said, I'm also a Garlemire therapist, but I'm also a puppy school tutor, and I've been running puppy classes for the last 15 years. And I also run my own follow-on classes as well. So I've been around puppies for a long, long time, and I've got 5 dogs of my own as well. So hopefully between us, I'm going to cover the mental aspect of your puppies, and Julia is in the perfect situation, and she's going to discuss a lot about the physicality and the appropriate things to do with your puppies as they grow and as they age. And you can see Tilly's well up for all of this.
We've also got Maggie in the room too, who's looking at this stage in Tilly's arrival very nonplussed about the whole thing. Coco isn't here at the moment, so we've just got Maggie and Tilly. So hopefully you might see Maggie. She's actually hiding her head at the moment.
So we had a lot of discussion when Julia said about bringing a puppy home. And we had a little bit of a chat about, the ways that we could actually do this. And I think Julia made some really great changes and had some really good things that she did before she actually brought Tilly into the house. And I think it's worth just thinking about these things. If you haven't picked your puppy up yet, and you are going to, it's just to start to plan a few ideas so that you really are ready. And if you have got other pets at home, they can get used to the idea of someone else coming to join them. So Julie, do you want to explain the few bits that you did before you brought a Tilly home?
Absolutely. Well, this the one thing, my main concern was to make sure that Maggie and Coco were going to be as happy as possible with our new arrival. And obviously I was concerned about Tilly too, because obviously Tilly was being removed from her family that she had known all her life. But Coco and Maggie were obviously having a massive change. So I'd been to an Amber Batson conference many years ago, and she was talking about the reintroduction of rhinos, of all things, of how they couldn't reintroduce 2 groups until they discovered that actually if they put a very strong scent of the new group to be introduced, then the old group hadn't accepted them. And of course, if you're a rhino, you really don't want to be not accepted. So I have always thought about introducing dogs by giving them the scent first, which I obviously discussed with Kushla, and she said, well, that's what you do, don't you, with your classes? So what I did is I sent a clean T-shirt to my wonderful breeder, and also one of Coco's and Maggie's toys. And what she did is she showed Tilly the toy, and she rubbed the T-shirt all over Tilly and then sent the T-shirt and the toy back. Oh my goodness, it was amazing, wasn't it, Kushla? I put the T-shirt on the ground. I barely touched it. And Maggie, we've actually got video. We're going to put this in a YouTube for you. Maggie's nose sunk into it. It was at right angles to the ground. It was quite extraordinary, wasn't it?
It was so intense, and you could see her taking all the information in that she could about, this puppy. It's so important that they get that level of information. It's Facebook for dogs.
What were you saying to me earlier? You were saying it can really save frustration in a puppy, looking at it the other way around, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. We use it a lot in a class situation. So we've got a new intake of puppies. We get a maximum of 8 pups in. And what we do is we put we ask everyone to bring a blanket or a small bed with them or a small piece of vet bedding. And then we put them into the center of the room, and we get all the pups really slowly to walk around and sniff all of the information about the other pups. So it really is taking all the information about who they are, where they've been living, what food they're on. And it means that all the pups, it's a really calm atmosphere then, because all the pups have met each other. They all know who each other are, rather than sitting across in the other side of a hall going, well, I don't know who they are, and I don't know who they are, and should I be worried about that? So it's a fantastic way of the dogs learning all the information about each other beforehand, which is just what you found with Maggie and Coco.
Oh, and Coco too. And I think because we don't have that superpower, and it is a superpower, isn't it? We tend to overlook it sometimes, but it's such a wonderful resource, and it's so important for them, isn't it, to be able to assimilate thoughts and put together personalities, as you've just said. But what was also very interesting is that just before that, I'd put Tilly's playpen up. So I'd rearranged the room, because I had to do that because I don't have vast space. So I had to rearrange the room, and I wanted to do this before Tilly arrived, so the girls got used to it. But then I've also introduced her name. So I sort of said, Tilly, Tilly, which maybe this is where people go, really? Does that really work? I don't know. But anyway, I put up the playpen and said Tilly, and then I gave the t-shirt for Coco to smell, and Maggie came over as well and had another sniff, and then they both lifted up their heads and looked into the playpen. It's on video. Maybe it was a coincidence, but it's just interesting.
Yes, good girl. That's where she's going. Yes.
But the other adjustments that I made, which are really important, I think probably one of the most important ones was I put some new rugs down. I've got sort of machined wooden floors, which are lovely, but they're like an ice rink. And for a puppy, that is building problems for the future. So I put down new rugs so she doesn't need to walk on the wood. Also, I've got steps out of my house, so I've redirected all dog flow, and they now have a ramp. So I introduced all these things before Tilly actually arrived, so it wasn't too different for the girls.
I think that's a really important thing to do as well. Even if you haven't got another dog at home, I think it's a great thing that you're actually doing, so people get aware of where the furniture is going to be. Julie's got a lovely playpen, so it's a nice safe place for Tilly to go while you're trying to do things like have a shower and you're thinking, I don't really want the puppy chewing on the lamp flex. So it's one of those.
Yeah, that happened.
But it's one of those safe places that you can actually pop them in, but actually setting that up and rearranging the furniture takes the stress level down of any other dogs that you might have in the home, which if you do suddenly walk in with this other small bundle of fluff, and then you start rearranging their furniture, you rearrange perhaps where their own beds are, and you start to put all these big changes in, then it becomes quite a stressful environment, whereby if you set it up beforehand, then the dogs realize there's a change going to happen. And even better if you can get the scent in there, then when it happens and the puppy itself arrives, it's a lot less stressful.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to do the experiment but of doing with or without, but I must admit the actual meeting, which I think we're going to come on to next, appeared to be quite straightforward.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. What I usually suggest is that if you, it's a difficult situation that we're in, ideally, if you've got somebody else in the household with you, you can take, there's two of you that go along to collect the puppy, if that's possible. I think it's a really nice if someone can sit with the pup for the first journey and hold them on the lap, rather than just putting them in a crate, perhaps in the boot on their own. Obviously, situations change and we've got to keep the pup safe. But what I would say is when you get home, the first thing you do is walk them straight into the garden, pop them down, onto whatever you've got, the grass or whatever you've got. And that introduces them to the first place, hopefully, that they might have a wee in. So you're setting yourself up immediately for some perfect house training, because if you put them straight in the house and they've been on a bit of a car journey, they're a little bit stressed, they're a little bit worried, they probably are going to have a wee on the floor. Whereas if you give them the opportunity to go straight onto the grass outside, then they immediately associate, that's where I go. So it's a really good, first hint for puppy training. And then Julie did a lovely one where you brought the dogs out one at a time. So Maggie out at once, didn't you? And then Coco.
But you suggested, and this is where I was going, Kushla, help me, Kushla. Because of course, the first of everything is so important, isn't it? Because we want to try and create as many positive experiences as possible. And of course, I haven't had a puppy for 9 years. And I must admit, I have forgotten how everything is consumed now with Tilly, which is lovely, but it's interesting. So I needed to know. So I had Maggie on her harness and lead, because you suggested that just for safety. And it was fascinating. It really was. They just went up and said hi. And it was very straightforward. And then I brought Coco out, so we did one at the time. And it was okay. And then when I felt that I had enough space around them and they seemed okay, I let them both off their leads and just let them do their own thing I didn't give any verbal interference.
Yeah.
I hope I did thing.
Oh, definitely. I think, letting the pups all explore each other without any overexcitement, it's really, it is tricky. But if you've got lots of very excited children around who are like, you've brought a puppy home. And it's just trying to bring that level of excitement down a little bit and let the pup explore. It's so tempting. We've got this gorgeous 8-week-old ball of fluff, and it's really tempting to pick them up all the time. And carry them around, but it's so important that they get that opportunity to walk around and to explore everything, and their sense of smell, as we've just said, is phenomenal. So
I cannot believe how noisily she sniffs. I absolutely love it. But we are going to be running over time because we're a bit late, so please don't leave anyone. But the enriched environment, which we are going to talk about, the noise from her nose is incredible.
Shall we show that now? Because you've got one set up. Shall we go?
Shall I do it right?
That would be lovely.
Bed, actually, they're both. I'm going to switch me off and switch on the enriched environment, guys, which would be a much nicer view for you. Or oh, hello, yes. I'm going to use some treats this time.
So what we've got here is a fantastic idea. This is a great way of using your pre-cycling.
Oh, there she goes, in the box. But so go on, Kushla, go on.
That we've got a lovely just variety of different boxes, different shapes, different surfaces, and you can see how intently they're using this. And this is a great idea for mentally wearing your pups out. They can't go for long walks. They shouldn't be going for long walks. We're in a really funny, restricted period of time now, but this is a fantastic way of getting your pups mentally stimulated. And what we've put in here, you can't quite see at this angle, but we've got a Hoover out there. We've got Henry the Hoover. We've got all sorts of things that rattle. So when they stand on them,
everyone has in their home a skeleton, obviously.
Absolutely. Hasn't everyone got a skeleton at home?
Everyone's got a skeleton in their cupboard.
So it's a lovely way of actually getting the dogs mentally nice and tired. So rather than, just, letting them wander around, this is engaging them on different surfaces and getting them to be, explore things and to be quite brave.
But from a physical point of view, it is wonderful to watch because Tilly is having to step over things, around things, slowly with her head down. She's having to engage all 4 legs independently and move in different directions. And this is something that we will be coming on to more, but this is something that we tend to almost train out of our puppies. So like so many things, the enriched environment works mentally and physically equally. And this is what the type of balance is that we are trying to give you help with how you can do that with your dog and puppy. Like everything, if it's in balance, it tends to work. So balancing the mental and the physical activity, they tend to work incredibly well together. This is, as we all know, this is setting us up for a good future or a better future. How your puppies, hello Maggie, develop mentally and physically at this stage is just so critical, because we treat obviously a lot of dogs with big problems, physical problems, and a lot of that we feel is if they've got a better stable or more stable skeleton and joints, that this type of exercise and activity can really help you with, we're hoping that it will give them a better, healthier future.
So we'd love to hear from you. Let us know if you've enjoyed this, and hopefully we will see you all again, and we will be posting the videos as well on YouTube of all of the amazing sniffing activities as well.
Yes, indeed. I hope, as I said, I hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry about the technical issue we had to begin with, but look forward to hopefully seeing you again.
And we will answer your Facebook questions as well.
Yeah.
All
Bye.
right. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye. Bye.